What's good, everybody? What's going on, man? It's Stephen Qualls II, a.k.a. Mr. Qualified. It's your boy.
Hey.
We're back for another episode of Qualified TV. Hey, man, I know I say this every week and every guest, but if y'all don't know, today's guest is a very, very special guest. Very glad to be able to get this done. I will stop talking so this brother can introduce himself and we can get started. But yeah, man, let the people know who you are for those that don't.
Right on. My name is Bud Sasser, man. Former just Mizzou dude out here trying to make my way. So I look forward to the interview, man. I look forward to just a session, man. Just to get on, the show and just turn up a little bit.
For sure, absolutely, man. No, it's gonna be a good one. As I said before, the vibes are already immaculate. But now we'll get into how humble that intro just was in a minute. We'll get back around to that. But we'll start out with this, man. You went to college and played football, and I'm trying to figure out, when did you fall in love with the sport of football or sports in general, whichever one came first?
When did I fall in love with it, man? Probably they don't be caring if I cuss.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Probably fifth grade, bro. No, excuse me. When I was 5 was when I got started, and it was just a part of what I did.
Okay.
So I don't know what day it was or what period it was. It was just something I knew I just did when the fall came, and it was just a part of life, really.
Okay. So what do you remember what about it or what got you into it to the point where like you realized that this was something that you love to do?
Yeah. I think in high school, I just started seeing folks who was getting looked at.
Okay.
And that was probably like my sophomore going in junior year type stuff. I didn't really think much of it until I realized, I'm like, hey, these coaches are here to see one of these DBs that I go against every day. And he was good, don't get me wrong. I was cooking. I was cooking. And so I think that's where, I was on people's radars to an extent, because they're like, hey, if we come in to offer him, or we have already offered him, we're just watching his practice, and this is who he going against, and this is this person doing this. Yeah. The following year is when stuff really started to kind of take off, and I was like, oh,
okay,
I might be all right,
Yeah, so this is your senior year in high school that you're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay, so how was your senior year, like, in terms of, like, on the field? Did you have, like, looks or offers before, and this was more so, like, just a coming out and it really broke everything open, or was it, like, no looks before, and senior year is when kind of everything started to happen?
Yeah, my June, it might have been over the summertime of junior year, going into my senior year,
okay,
where I started having like looks.
Okay.
And because before then, like, don't get me wrong, I went to like a powerhouse school too.
Okay.
So shout out to Den Ryan, shout out to y'all. They still putting them out, and it was just a part of it. Like, to me, these are people I grew up with too.
Right.
So much of this is just in me. Like no part of it was like, okay, I got to take this step in order to get here, and in order to do this. I'm just trying to be better than the people from my own neighborhood.
Right.
Which I wasn't. Like, folks was cold, bro.
Right.
Like, so for me, it was like always trying to just beat out another receiver who was already doing it, like doing it at a high level. So the offers did start coming, like really that senior year, around season and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it was just slow, but when it happened, it happened.
Okay. No, that makes sense. What did you when you finished your high school career? When you look back at it, what do you feel like was your best accomplishment, or the accomplishment that meant the most to you at the time?
Say that again. So when
you finished playing high school, like,
okay,
not in regard to like ultimately where you decided to go, but just in general, when playing high school football was over for you.
Yeah.
What was the thing that you accomplished that you felt like meant the most to you at the time?
Ooh, great question. I think that I knew school was taken care of.
Okay.
Like, I thought that was like, I just was appreciative of, like, I knew I was going to play somewhere next. I knew that the work I had done, like, the voluntary workout in high school, they really is voluntary.
Right.
That's them summer workouts. In college, that's a different story.
Right.
But in high school, man, I was just like, I thought it was dope. Like, man, because so many people was lost because they don't know what else they're going to do. And I only know that really after even college and being done with pro stuff. So, and we can get there later, but it's like, at the time, I was like, shoot, it's still turned for me. Like, it's up. I don't know. Like, it was just cool because it was like, you know, we had multiple players going D1 on our team.
Okay.
So it was just cool to be a part of that group.
No, that's real, and that's a great point. Like you said, I don't think people realize that until later down the line. Because at 18, I mean, you think so much is ahead, and it's before life kind of really gets to show you how rugged that journey can get. So that makes a lot of sense. But you are going to go on and play, college ball, and you decide to attend the University of Missouri to play.
Yeah.
Talk about that decision. Was there anything in particular that made Missouri feel like the choice for you?
Honestly, I took my visit here. I didn't know nothing about Missouri. I couldn't tell you where it was at on the map. Nothing. And it was one of the states I just didn't even know about Missouri. And so getting here on that visit was I had taken like 3 other visits at this time. And it was the first one where I went on a visit like with family. So okay. I'm a first gen. I'm doing a lot of these trips by myself.
Okay.
And, folks got their family there. I see why now. Like, at the time, I thought, like, you're just supposed to go and, like, I don't know, just see if you like it. Yeah. And, but getting here, I had my mom and one of my sisters here. And honestly, the team, like, the players that I came on the visit with was live. Like, and folks was like, they was cool though. They didn't think too much of themselves. They also wasn't walking around like, oh, I'm just happy to be here. We was talking then like, man, I think we could actually do something type stuff. And it was just and it wasn't just like, hey, we're going to give the dope speech and like blah, blah, blah. We had a good time. Like, and a lot of the city was not shut down, but folks was going home for the like winter break. It was snowing. And we just kind of like had like our own little get together at one of the older guys' crib. And actually that crib, it was dope because it was cool to us because it was at like Blaine's crib, Blaine Gabber. And Kendra Jackson, shout out to K-Jack, But they just had a dope spot and it was always low key. And so they invited us all to the crib and it was really us playing cards, like just shooting the shit type stuff. That's my vibe. Like, I don't need the bar. I don't need the club. Like, even though those are fun to go to at times, like, to me, to go to a school and honestly have, like, conversations like I did with my homeboys back at home where we could just sit at the crib and just chill and stuff, that worked for me. So that's how I ended up being like, I like this vibe.
I feel that. No, that's real. I ain't took no visit or nothing, but I do know, like, my experience with choosing my school, like just to attend college, it was kind of similar. But Mizzou was actually the only campus that I visited, and so, but again, like I only knew about Missouri. Well, one, I think when I was coming into college, because I was coming into college, I came in 2014. So the 4 years of high school for me was right in between that like sweet spot where Mizzou basketball was actually like really good. So I'm seeing them in the tourney and everything. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But I also I have a brother that moved down to Missouri when he was 10, and that had to have been about at least a decade before I was even getting ready to go to college. But ironically enough, he was exactly in Columbia. So when looking at Mizzou, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of things that still feel very home-esque to me. And then I wanted to be a journalism major, so that was a huge part of it too.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so I definitely understand the impact that that could have had in that it had
Yeah.
on your decision. I don't think I asked this though. Where are you from originally?
Yeah, Denton, Texas.
Denton, Texas.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
All
Denton
right.
is about 30 minutes north of Dallas.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit familiar with the surrounding areas of
Yeah.
Dallas. I got family there, but okay, sounds good. So yeah, a bit of a trek, not that much, but
Yeah, man. And I knew, sadly, bro, like I wanted to be kind of away from family. Not in a bad way.
Yeah.
But I knew my mom could probably drive up about 2 hours.
for sure, for sure.
I was always like in my, like, as I'm just looking at school, man, I'm trying to go far, far away. So you
Yeah.
can't just pop up.
Yeah.
And, it was something I low key regretted because it was like, now your family it's a hard time getting
Right.
to the games because
Yeah.
you want to take your ass, 10 hours away.
So did your family encourage you to not necessarily go far, but did they encourage you to not feel the need to stay close, like for them? Or?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. They wanted me to be closer,
Right.
but for my folks, man, they were just like excited that it was on the table. Like I said, my folks didn't go to school, so it was to them. They was so hyped for me to be done with high school and that I've graduated proud, not just hyped, but proud, and no kids, because both my parents went through high school, also had kids in high school.
Okay.
So for them to see me do this and then be playing at a high level where people are coming to them and like, hey, we want your son to come to our school type stuff, they like, all right, like, let's see what the options are. Like to them, we all going through it together. Like, man, this is dope. Like this is so whatever happens is like the goal is to just go get an education, which was always kind of ironic to me because it was like, what does that mean? Like, like, because people always say, you get up there and get your education.
Right.
It's like, well, what does that mean? Because I'm one who didn't know what majors were. Like,
Okay.
there's majors, minors, people are doing
Right.
certificates.
Yeah.
I didn't know what none of this was.
Right.
So I kind of, but for me, it was always just, man, they just encouraged me just to like, just do it. Like whatever it is, just keep your faith in God and like, just keep going. That was kind of like their motto. It was just like, hey, you're going further than what we've done.
Yeah.
So all we can do is support you. And it's really freedom.
Yeah.
Because it was like when your folks ain't trying to like, well, you need to be here, you need to do it this way. It was like, look, you've reached the goals that we had for you, and we appreciate that you were a good dude, good kid, whatever. I fucked up plenty of times, but it's like, other than that, just go do your thing, man. Like, go grow up. You 18, get on out of here.
Yeah.
Go do your thing. Like, and so I always had that kind of love.
Okay, no, that's definitely real, and that's a great point. I hopefully we can circle back to it, but the idea of like, what does it mean, like when going to get an education, quote unquote? Because I feel like that's just something people say when you go off to school, like, because that's just like almost like it's the American way to go get a good education.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we circle back to
Yeah.
that. But so back to getting to your time at Missouri. So talk about your college years, because if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't necessarily like you came in and you were like the star from jump. So yeah, just talk about the journey. I mean, the way you ended your college career was crazy and amazing. If y'all don't know, look it up. But just talk about the journey throughout college and how it was when you started to how it was when you finished.
When I finished, yeah. I mean, when I got rolling, bro, like I came in and first of all, I was redshirted, hot.
So it wasn't your decision to redshirt.
No, bro. And it wasn't my decision to not play the next year. It wasn't my decision to really not play the year after that. So I was hot, bro. I was hot for a while. Like I was ready to get up out of here plenty of times.
Right.
But again, something I learned, really, you had asked me this earlier, like when did the love come? It wasn't necessarily like this, kind of a little bit towards that, but it was when I knew I was actually going to be going pro. And like internally was 7th grade. But I knew I wasn't the best. Like that was the other part.
Okay.
Like I felt like I just lived in reality where it was like, you're not the best, but you don't have to be the best. You have to just work smarter than a lot of these players. Because the thing was, a lot of people started quitting because they didn't like, well, coach don't like me.
Right.
Or we got too many practices. And I was like, folks who was cold growing up, just done. Just because they don't like the structure.
Do you think it's the structure or the work more? Or a combination of both?
Both. Like, you got to work.
Yeah.
So to me, I was like, folks don't like to work.
Right.
Folks, when they want to tap out, they want to be able to tap out.
Right.
And that, to me, I was like, oh, all I got to really do is just outlast you. And seeing that, I was like, if I do this is to answer the question in college when I first got here and got redshirted. I was like, okay, you know what? If I'm here 5 years, there's no way I don't get drafted. There's absolutely no way. Like, that was my mentality. Because I was like, there's just, I'm seeing how I play.
Right.
People are seeing, my teammates are seeing it as well in practice, and I'm making plays, and I'm taking it serious when I go to practice because this is the only thing I got.
Yeah.
Like, so that was a learning curve of how do you learn to be a practice player? Because it's not just game days. Like in high school, you can kind of go out there and do what you do. I practice hard, but it was still like clearly a lot of room for work. But in college, I just started learning how to be a practice player, learning how to be, I say a practice player, learning to me, in my mind, I was like, how do I move like a pro? Like
just your entire routine.
The routine. Yeah. And that kind of messed me up because you really can't move like that as a student athlete because you still got class.
Okay.
You got to go get that education.
Yeah.
But you also, in my mind, I'm like, I got to take care of my home. Yeah. So I was just like trying to work my way up. It was just, it was challenging, man, for real. Like I said, I tried to leave plenty of times. And some wise people in our corner who we just like, families who have had their kids or grandkids go off to school to play, and they came back home, and it just, dreams kind of crashed and burned. They were just helping me avoid that mistake. And those were things that they were just like, we wish that we would have just told him no. Like, you can't come home. Because it sucks. Like, it does suck to be the person that you playing all the time. You the guy. To now you get to play in front of all these people. You going out there and you don't play. Like, right. you just practice. You go through all the mess and get to the game, and you got to put on the jersey. Rain, sleet, or snow, sunshine. You just on the sideline, just sitting there looking, watching folks drop passes. It wasn't a lot, but I mean, whatever. Yeah. We can go all watch the tape. But the point is, like, and there was plenty of good. Don't get me wrong. Like, also, there's plenty of people who I got to watch and be like, this dude cold for real. Like, he cold for real, and he barely get the ball. So then I started learning about the politics of it all, and I was like, okay. All you can do is, like, now you can't even focus on that part. You got to start focusing on, like, all right, this is where my weight is. This is where my speed is. This is where my strength is. Like, how do I just get better at those things so I don't focus on the external factors that I can't control?
Yeah, no, that's major. That's a lot. You touched on so many different aspects of the student athlete experience, just in general. But being a player that comes in, and with football, I can only imagine, because there's so many spots and so many positions that, just because, and maybe you can give more insight into it, but how exactly is that totem pole when it comes to, like, how you're recruited and where you're ranked, and then when you get to a school, how that works? Because it's not a guarantee that, you could be this relatively highly ranked player or highly touted player, but that doesn't mean you have a guaranteed spot to be, at the top of the, the depth chart. So, yeah, if you could just give a little bit more insight into, like, how you even navigated that. And then also on top of that, it's like, when you were watching and when you were waiting, what are some of the things that you learned outside of kind of learning the politics? Like, did you learn how to be a better teammate? Did you learn routine and structure within the student athlete sense from some of the players ahead of you as well? So, yeah, insight on that.
Yeah, man. I think it's hard because at first it's more so hindsight. I can tell you more about it now because in the moment we're all 18 to 22-year-old dudes just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So trying to be the senior who has the wisdom around, like, hey, these things, I know they make it seem like this matters the most or this is really, really, really important. In reality, you got to find out what your priorities are, and you can only do so much. Like, there's so many people pulling at you for everything in all types, whether it's like academic requirements, you know, volunteer requirements, practice requirements, whatever it is. Like, there's a bunch of people pulling, and you just got to kind of learn to prioritize and to be able to manage your schedule and understand. But that's hard, bro.
Yeah.
It was really hard for me, like really hard. And that was something I just didn't realize. Like, the people who operate at the like elite levels have a great routine, have a lot of structure in their life, and the things that kind of come up or just pop up, they're able to kind of rebound quicker because they know, okay, yes, this happened here, but I already know like the rest of my schedule. I know how to move this around because I'm in control of what I got going on.
Yeah.
So it took me a minute, bro, to like really figure it out. And to be honest, I don't even know if I figured it out. If I'm just keeping it a buck, bro.
That's
like
right.
they drug me through this place, like to get.
A lot of people, man.
Bruh.
We just kind of push over.
Yeah,
We get through how we can.
For real. And shout out to Tammy Chivas if she sees this, like, because she's over in like academics with the athletic department, and man, works miracles, but also is the person who's patient enough to understand that not everybody comes from certain backgrounds with, you know, whether it's parents, guardians, or just an environment of, hey, we sit and study at this time. Like, this is what your, you know, time management really looks like without somebody giving you a schedule.
Right.
With you building out your own schedule and being able to do something like that. So I appreciate her for that, because it was, without those things, bro, it's way too many pieces to just show up and be like, oh, I can just go to practice. No, you're not just going to practice. Like, it's a lot of stuff. So to be honest, I don't think I mastered at all how to manage my time in undergrad at all.
That makes a lot of sense. I don't think a lot of people do. It's a great case study for you. It's a great case study for you to use when you're done, right? Like, you look, like, when you graduate, you can look back at your 4 years and say, however long. But you can look back and say, okay, what worked? What didn't work? Because something didn't work. Rarely, in undergrad, there are a lot of people that, because even if you're type A, like, there's still a lot you're trying to figure out. Like, it's so much. But, like, as a student athlete, the expectation is much higher. Like, you're not seen as the normal college student. Which
is insane.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
That goes into a whole nother can of worms of a conversation. But we'll get back to your senior year. Around the time that, or better yet, the better question, when did you first feel like this is my time? Like, my waiting is over. This is my time to go.
Senior year.
Okay.
Everybody had like moved. We just came off the SEC East title. 2013. We just played.
So that was the first year. 2013 was the first year.
Second year in SEC. So we just came off of that. We had I'm trying to think of stat wise. But LaDamian and Doriel, they were leading our stats in the receiver room. LaDamian Washington and Doriel Greenbeck. So after them, everybody was just kind of like questioning, all right, man, we got these receivers who ain't got no experience. They ain't got no yards in the previous years. And I just remember being so hot, bro. Like, I was like, they really got me fucked up, bro. Like, I ain't been here for all this time. Like, I'm trash. That was low-key how I took it. I was like, folks, and I remember just sitting down. We had like a media day or something. And I'll never forget, bro. I just remember sitting down at the goalpost. I didn't even stand up for these interviews because I thought they were so disrespectful asking me, like, but I still rock with these reporters and stuff. But they were questioning like, well, you know, what are y'all gonna do because y'all don't have the producers? I was like, I'm gonna play and I'm gonna produce. Like, I don't need to try to step into somebody's shoes. I'm gonna add to what's already been started. And now whether y'all want to believe that or not, I don't really know. But, and I know, again, at that point, I've been here for some time. I'm not a household name. I'm not from Missouri. I didn't have all the stars. I was a 3-star. But other than that, most people really wasn't looking for me to do anything. And so that was kind of like, I just knew then that, because I just knew. I knew how I was playing. I knew how I was practicing. I was like, it's about to be turned up, man, come senior year. And then and that's what it was. It was turned up.
So when you got the opportunity, when you started playing, when you started producing, when did you start to, if you did even hear it or pay attention to it, but when did you start kind of hearing the noise of like, oh, like, you know, this is a household name, or this is somebody who we need to be paying attention to, reporting on, getting stories on?
You know what I was fighting for was to be on the little box when the game comes on for the impact players. I was like, when they start calling my name, I know I'm on there. Like, I know I'm doing my part. Like, I know if when they start showing my little face in the little box of like players to look out for on offense, whatever, I was like, yeah. Like, and then probably about 5-6 games in a year, I started sliding up on that thing. I was like, yeah, there we go. So, I mean, I knew already, but like when it was getting shown out to the world like that, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, when you started showing up on the other team's scouting report, that was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I would say. I would hope. I don't, and that's the other part. You don't really know how folks is talking about you at all. But all I knew was like, I'm just gonna be ready for whoever is lined up.
No,
like, whoever.
Look, you gotta have that mentality.
Yeah.
So you go through senior year, have an amazing senior year. Talk about the process of preparing to go pro, preparing for the draft, and then just take us into your draft experience, because, you know, obviously it's not the ideal, you know, story or the dream story, but yeah, just kind of, you know, start us when you realize, hey, I'm gonna, of course, declare, I'm preparing for the draft, and then just take us to everything through the draft and through how everything kind of went after that.
Yeah, I mean, that's great timing for this question too. Like, I was supposed to be going to the combine.
Okay.
You know, I was a first team All SEC, like, but what was weird, I didn't get like All-Star game invites, like nothing post like regular or like season or whatever. So it was kind of odd. Then I didn't get the combine invite, which was crazy. But then what I started to see was like, okay, teams is still like hitting me up, trying to get me out to their, you know. And once I started seeing that stuff start picking up, like I'm going to Green Bay, I'm going out to Oakland before they move. Who else I visit with, man? Like Kansas City, Houston. So I'm doing a bunch of traveling. And I'm like, okay, this is dope.
And the visits are going well?
Yeah, the visits are going well. And I knew they was going well because folks was like, don't say nothing. So I'm going to tell y'all this, man. I think that y'all, for the players who might be listening to this or people who you know got a family member going through this, yes, tell people that you're going on these visits. Like, let people know, like, oh, I'm out in Houston. You don't necessarily have to say, I'm going to visit with the Houston Texans and this is the person that I'm visiting with. But I would make it clear because teams are watching. And if they start to see like, oh, these 3 teams, these people are actually interested, they get interested. Because they're like, oh, okay, well, we saw him. We know we got some reports on him. But we didn't know our rival,
right?
Our, like the divisional rival is the one who's really trying to look at this person.
Right.
We need to call him in. But you just, so it's like you kind of want to promote yourself too, because it is that's the game. Like it's what kind of, can you put people in seats? Like you don't want to be ignorant, as we see that doesn't go well half the time. But it's like, I think you should tell people what you're doing. But as far as coming like right up to draft, I mean, I was just sitting, I think day one, it was I think I went bowling with my family and stuff like that. Like, we just wanted to figure out, like, hey, I didn't think I was going to be a day one guy. There had been no conversations about me at all going first round at all. So, and I think they do the first 2 rounds day one, or it might just be.
I mean, it might have been different, but I think they might do just first round day one.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. So then I'm like, all right, I don't really expect that. But day 2, I'm like, now I am up. I was eating, like I said, like I didn't just randomly eat. I'm like, okay, I should, and maybe not though, because I also didn't go to any of these. Like, I didn't go to the combine. I didn't go to any of these games. So I was also like, maybe not day 2, but for sure day 3. So day 2, we went and shot like pool or whatever, and then nothing. I was getting phone calls. And the calls is dope, but it's like, hey, not sure if we're going to be able to draft you type, but, would love to have you out here, blah, blah, blah. Day 3, kind of very similar. At this point, I'm kind of getting irritated because I'm like, this is, I appreciate the calls, but I'm also like, which one of y'all are actually trying to draft me?
Right.
Like, what's up? Everybody's like, hey, we want you to come play, but we're not going to draft you type, or we don't have enough picks, which these are all valid, knowing what I know now.
Yeah.
They might not have the pick for you. They might really want you, but they're being told that they need to get this, or an O lineman or a D lineman to fix, whatever they got going on. So that's realistic. You might have somebody who loves you, but they can't draft you. And so I had a call with the Rams and talked with Coach Sherman and receiver coach at the time. And he said one of the same things, like, man, we'd love to have you here, blah, blah, blah. I hang up the phone. I remember talking to my folks, and I'm just like, man, I'm so tired of this stuff. Like, and it wasn't his fault. Like, he didn't say nothing wrong. He was just one of the other people who had said some of the same stuff. And then I got a call probably 10 minutes later, GM of the Rams, and he's, it just I had a feeling. Like, I was like, okay, this is what it is. Yeah. And so he just asked me, man, how you feel about being a Ram? I was like, great. what else you want me to say, man? Yeah, let's go. I'm ready. And so, he chopped it up for us, quick second. And then he passed the phone, Jeff Fisher at the time, chopped it up with him for a quick second. And then that was it, man. They just told me, hey, enjoy this moment. Turn on the TV if you don't already have it turned on. Of course we did. And he's like, you probably want to go ahead and start trying to record it or something. And of course we did. So hung up. Then in like 2 minutes, bro, it popped up on the screen, and it was up. It was up. So that was dope. But that was kind of how the draft process worked. I guess without getting too lost in the weeds, So unless you want me to get lost in the weeds.
No, I mean, yeah, you can get lost in the weeds, man. Because I think that at least from the little bit of research I did before, I know at least the basis of the story of like what happened, after you got drafted. So however lost you want to get in the weeds, that's perfectly fine. I just think it's a great story because I mean you already kind of talked about. Players promoting themselves and kind of taking a little bit more initiative in that and control in their narrative going into the draft. Yeah. And you see a lot of players like if you're not going to get some of those top rounds, it's not always a guarantee that you make it past final cuts, make it past practice squad to actually even suit up, you know, on Sundays like that. So, definitely get into the weeds. Well, first, actually, before you get into those weeds, what was it like for you and your family seeing your name, come across the TV and just that moment of like it happened? What was that like for your family? How was it getting a chance to experience it with them?
Yeah, dope. Because that was like, I don't know. I mean, my folks have always been happy for me. Yeah. Like, which again, that alleviates so much pressure. Right. I didn't feel pressure like I have to be drafted. It was like I want to be drafted because I know what I bring. Mm. So. And I knew what I produced. Like, I knew what I did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these other players is getting drafted, so I don't see how I'm just randomly not. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but it was a moment of just being like, you know, we come from very humble beginnings, middle and end. You know, like, so at no point did any of this change. But it's like, it was good to see the work pay off, and it was good to see, and not just my work, but like they were also, you know, active in the community, like active, just parents, been through shit, and just to see a win, you know what I'm saying? That's a big win, because you're also thinking, like, we are in that moment thinking, hey, life is changing for the better. Like,
right.
That's really why everybody hyped.
Right.
I mean, they're proud of me. Don't get me wrong, very proud. But in that moment too, it's also like, hey,
things about to be a little different.
Things about to be a little different.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the first thing I'm thinking of is like, bro, like, damn, this shit is. It was kind of surreal, because it was just like this, like, nothing really changed environment wise, which is the crazy part. And I don't want people to sleep on that. For a lot of players, their environment, just because the football thing happens, like, their home environment sometimes just doesn't change just because of what you see on a Saturday or a Sunday. Yeah. And I think that in that moment, we were assuming everything is changing. And so after, I'll kind of get to the, you know, like after draft night and everything, like, it's, you know, we got a report like by the end of the week, essentially, the following week. I get off the plane, you know, I get to St. Louis, I'm off the plane, and when I even getting on the plane, I saw a couple of guys that are going to the team who were like free agents who got picked up off free agency, whatever. Still great, because we all going through the same stuff, or about to. And when we get off the plane, bro, like, you know, you go pick up your bags and stuff like that. I had somebody, like, there was two people up there waiting, and there was somebody like with like Rams gear and stuff like that. But they asked for the other couple guys, and I had one person who was like looking for me. So I'm big-headed too, like at this moment, not really, but I was thinking like, oh, that's live, like I'm the draft pick, so they, you know, got me coming in separately. Dog, rude awakening. Bruh, it was one of the trainers. He was like, yeah, we just got to go, you know, run some tests and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. All right. So, I mean, fresh off the plane, bro, in St. Louis, we go straight to, like, doing, like, physicals and stuff like that. And nobody is, like, hype. I'm hype, because I just flew here as a draft pick everywhere I'm going, and folks are just kind of like, hey, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm good, man. How y'all doing? And then after, like, through a period of time, folks like, but we don't really know if this is something you should be excited about. And I'm just like, why? Like, cause
you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I have no clue. And but coming to find out, it was like probably, I'd say, I didn't really like 3 days passed. I don't practice. Like, I'm going to practice. Like, after this medical stuff, whatever, I just go home, but the next day I go to practice, but I can't practice. Like, I can't do any lifts, nothing. I'm in the locker room, I see my name up there. You got Tavon Austin over here, and like other dudes, bro, and I'm just like, this is live.
Right.
And I'm in the draft class with Todd Gurley and stuff, so I see his locker over there. And then again, I see like some of the free agent guys who had just signed. They kind of pushed everybody in a corner almost. Like, y'all are sharing lockers with 2-3 people. And again, I'm feeling like, okay, this is dope. My gloves all set out and stuff, my cleats and my jersey in there hanging. So this is another one of those, like, bruh, I'm really like, I really got a pro like logo on. And remember just putting stuff on, go to practice, whatever. They're like, but hey, right now you just sit this one out. We got to get some clarity on some stuff. I'm like, all right. Because I knew what I had to go. Like, I didn't know what it meant, though. Right. So I was like, all right, no problem. Anyways, 3 practices go by. I'm saying practices. They're kind of like walk-through, run-through type stuff, little one-on-one drills, which I also was like, oh, I'm finna eat. I'm watching them play. I'm watching them, and this is no disrespect to the guys that was there. It's really not. I just know what I bring, and I knew how good I was. Right. And I was watching, and I was like, oh, folks are struggling to run slant routes. I'm good. Yeah, I'm real good. I'm real good. I was like, so anyway, day 3 come, bro. They come and pull me out of the meeting. And this is the worst when you hear, hey, yeah, can you go ahead and grab your iPad? It's like, grab your playbook. Oh. I'm calling you out. But I didn't know, like, again, I'm thinking, okay, I'm about to go get cleared. Thank God, like, somebody coming to, do this. I get up, man. We go up to, like, the big meeting room. It's a big table, everything like that. And it's just me and, like, all the executives, head coaches, assistant head coach, like, the head trainer, team doctor, everybody. And then it's me. Sheesh. And we at that big table overlooking the practice field and all that stuff. So if you can picture this, that's what it was. And I'm still clueless. I'm thinking about it right now. Like, I'm still clueless to what's going on. Yeah. And so the doctor starts talking, whatever. He's telling me, hey, we have some news, blah, blah, blah. We weren't able to pass you on your physical. Or, you weren't able to pass the physical. And I was like, for what? Like, I'm still kind of like, a physical. I've never had a bad physical. So what happened in all these years, essentially? Right. So they were like, yeah, you've been diagnosed or something with apical hypertrophic cardiomyopathy.
It's a lot of words. It's a lot of syllables.
Bro. The doctor's telling me this, and I'm sitting here like, oh, somebody lying to me. I said, I can't believe I said somebody lying to me. I didn't say this out, but in my mind, like, at this point, I'm really having an out-of-body experience because I was like, there's no way I don't even know what the hell he just said. Like, for the longest, I couldn't pronounce it. Like, I just spit that off now, but for the longest, I was like, what do y'all say I have? Like, and so that was kind of like my face. Like, I was like, what the fuck? What are y'all talking about? And then I'm looking around, and nobody wants to look at me. Like, everybody look, and, when you finally make eye contact, they kind of, like, look off a little bit. Because they know it's meant, like, they know what's going on. Yeah. And that was kind of like I ended up leaving this meeting where it was like, what is going on? Like, I really thought somebody, like, I was like, this is clearly real, but it felt like a dream. And I was like, there's no way that this just randomly happens. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, this is just what we got to go through and just did. Like, it was just weird, bro. And that was like a big part of that was really it. Like, there's some more stuff in there, but it's like that at the end of the day, that was kind of like it, where, and it was like, hey man, hate that this happened to you, but you're young. I said, fuck being young, bro.
What do you mean?
What the hell is that? What does that mean? But it was that was kind of it, man, where it was like, man, now what do you do? Now what do you do? And so I think that's what I've been doing now. It's like it's figuring out what the next thing is. And I think that's where, that's kind of the story of how the whole draft piece happened. But it's so weird, man. It's like, we had heard through the grapevine that people were talking about, a heart condition. So we go and get all these exams done and stuff like that. Granted, I've been cleared twice at this point. all pre-Ram stuff. So the Rams thing was a shock. So then they like, hey, if you want to go take a second opinion, whatever, we'll get a second opinion. We're like, bro, we already have these. You can go up to the Mayo Clinic, #1 like heart spot in the world. And we get up there, we're talking with the docs there, and he's asked me when I get drafted. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm telling him like 6th round. He was like, I can't tell you about which teams or which players. I said, but you're not the only person with this. Like, this is not like, and he was like, you are not at risk of dying. You are not at risk. Like, you are in great shape, all this type of stuff. He was like, but I can't make the decision for the team. I have to just tell them, like, even though he was like, your chances of something actually happening are like 0.000. And he was doing it. My mom was there. 0.000, whatever, however far down you want to go. Right. He was like, but I can't say that it's just not there. And so, and what it is the thickening of the tip of your heart. Yeah. Okay. So that's the apical piece is like the tip. And then, so what it does is like the tip of your heart, it kind of has like this mass, like it's like a muscle. And they're essentially saying it's too strong. Like, it's like that's where the wall, like the thickness, the muscle of your heart, it's too thick. Now it's like a doctor's discretion, essentially, where it's, is it too thick? Maybe. Is it not? Like, so it's like, it's up to just someone to just be like, yes or no. Okay. And then team doc said no, but this doc, the Mayo Clinic was just like, oh, you got the short end of the stick. He was like, because I've had clients in here who they're letting them play, but they were also 1st and 2nd round draft picks. So again, he's like, I hope that this works out for you, but you just need to know that you're getting the short end of the stick. And so I'm thinking, leaving from here, me and my mom, low-key hype, because we're thinking like, oh, okay, you're telling us all this stuff, so we should be in the clear. Wasn't. It was kind of like I always looked at it like, the old times where the woman got caught cheating or something like that. They put that red A on her, like that, that adulterer. You had a red A on you? Yeah, it was not an A, but but it was like for the heart thing. Yeah. Like, that's how I felt like, bro, like after that, everybody's take wasn't so much. Like, I would go visit teams, and teams were just like, man, what did the Rams say? Everywhere I went, it was just, what did the Rams say? Or we just want the reports. But then that was the other thing. I started to learn, like, people were more so fascinated with, like, what it was. And it wasn't like, oh, we actually want to get you on this team so we can clear you. It was more like, oh, our doctors want to be able to know what this is so we can look forward in the future from other players. And once I learned that, bro, I can tell you when the love left.
That's crazy work.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's crazy work.
Yeah. And that was when I started to, like, you know what, I'm cool. Because I'm going to these places, bro. I'll be there. I wouldn't even be there for a full 24 hours. So I'd have to fly somewhere, 6 a.m. flight, where I'll be back by mid-afternoon. Like, I done ran all these tests and stuff like that. They ain't even work out. Like, they're like, we know you can play. We don't need you to work out. We know that part. But we really need, our doctors want to see this stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah, no, I'm cool. After a while. Like, I'm saying I'm cool now, but at the time I was just like, bro, I'm really getting played, bro. Yeah. I am getting played. So then after a while, it happened in Canada too. I was like, okay, we're going to do this. Bro, yeah, it was crazy. They just said, like,
CFL did it too?
Oh, yeah. Because they were just like, well, if Rams just said no, we don't even need to see, like, we don't need to see anything. Wow. And I don't know what that means, but I'm just like, so much of this, bro, was like, that's why I'm in law school.
That tracks.
Yeah.
A lot of that tracks. Yeah, that's a crazy story, man. And not outside of just the blatant the blatant disrespect,
Bruh. Yeah.
But it really shows the business of it shows the politics of it, because it's just hard, because I mean you can understand it once you accept that, you know, the politics are the politics, but it doesn't make it make sense, because it's like, especially after getting that type of reception after the doctor said, "Hey, you're pretty much good."
Yeah.
Like, it's just not my decision.
Yeah.
After that, it would have been like, "Oh, so y'all, I must not be of that much value to y'all. Or y'all don't think I'm that good. If I could play, and if I'm technically getting a clearance, but you all are just making the executive decision to say, well,
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. We don't want to take the chance."
Yeah.
Or that ain't even a thing at this point, based on what the doctor says. So yeah, but I mean, that being a trigger or a kick, if you will, to the law school thing, I think that makes a lot of sense. But go into more detail about what aspect of law and what all you want to know, and what exactly within the situation you want to be able to help with.
Yeah, I mean, I took that approach because it was like nobody was giving me real answers.
Right.
And so I remember meeting with the team attorney, because at this point I was actually like, I was working, like, let's just kind of back up here. Like, so after the draft, all this stuff happens. They offer me a job.
Okay.
The Rams do. And they're trying to figure out, okay, let's do something for them. And granted, I think this is an amazing, like, gesture. But it was hard for me to swallow, like, my new salary I lost $400,000.
Just because they didn't.
Yeah, like my salary difference from what I was gonna make in the first year, $400,000, bro.